TikTok has stopped working in the United States. It's disappeared from Apple and Google app stores too, as part of a blackout ahead of a law implementing its shutdown. The US has cited national security concerns about the Chinese-owned video app, but President-elect Donald Trump has said he will probably give it a 90-day reprieve from the ban. Well, let's speak to a North America technology correspondent, Lily Jamali, who's in San Francisco for us. So, Lily, just tell us what happens when people in America try to access TikTok at the moment.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience, because I have it pulled up right here on my phone, that I'm getting a message that says, sorry, TikTok isn't available right now. And I imagine the 170 million other American users are now getting that very same message. It then says that a law banning TikTok has been enacted. That's part of the story here. That's part of the law that was passed by Congress last year, which you mentioned went through on national security grounds, concerns about Chinese ownership of the app. But left out in this statement by TikTok is the fact that TikTok and its Chinese owner, they've had 9 months to sell this app to a U.S. buyer, and they didn't do that. Of course, both of these options are clearly unsavory to the company. But at this point, they have exhausted every legal avenue at their disposal. They've taken this to a U.S. appeals court where the law was upheld. The Supreme Court did the same on Friday. They do, of course, have an ally, as you noted, in President-elect Donald Trump, who takes office the day after, so tomorrow on Monday. And he, as you mentioned, has said he will try to enact he's likely to, is the phrasing that he used, to enact a reprieve of about 3 months. The question is whether legally he can actually do that.
And so why has the company chosen to effect this ban, even though it has, a very powerful ally in Donald Trump? Talk us through the ecosystem about how Americans access TikTok and the companies that could have been liable if they'd continued making it accessible.
Well, as of right now, this law is in force. Donald Trump is not the president. Joe Biden is the president, as you know. And even though Joe Biden has said, his administration has said that they will not enforce this law, companies involved here are technically flouting the law if they continued to uphold the status quo. So that would include companies like Oracle, the web hosting service. They basically have all this data on their servers. And so they have taken action, presumably. You mentioned the app stores. So Apple and Google administer the biggest app stores in the United States, where most Americans go to put the app, to put TikTok on their devices. These various aspects of the ecosystem, these different companies all faced legal action if they didn't do something as of Sunday. And they also faced potentially very steep fines. So yes, Donald Trump comes into office on Monday and can, tell these various companies that he can try and assure them, but they are still flouting the law if they didn't do something.
And talk to us about the possible individuals or companies that could buy the TikTok operations in the United States, and crucially, some allies of Donald Trump.
Yeah, there's a number of potential suitors that have come forward. Most recently, Perplexity AI, which is one of the many AI startups that has cropped up in recent years. But individuals include Donald Trump's former Treasury Secretary, Steven Mnuchin, who floated he was interested earlier this year when the law first took effect. Another prominent suitor is a billionaire investor named Frank McCourt, who has put a group of investors together. He has made the media rounds, done a lot of interviews talking about what he'd like to do with the app. But the most probably well-known and most interesting, I would say, of the potential suitors here is Elon Musk. He, of course, owns X, formerly known as Twitter. He is a close ally of Donald Trump, campaigned for Donald Trump in the run-up to November's election, and also contributed about $250 million to Donald Trump's re-election campaign. There is talk that he might take over by TikTok and potentially merge it with what was once known as Twitter.
Lily Jamali, thank you very much for that.